Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I am speaking to New York Times best-selling author,
Oh
Sally.
my goodness.
How does that
That
sound? How does that
it's
sound?
the first time anyone said it. That is just it's music to my ears.
Oh,
I'm so
so amazing. She's going to hold up her book. The Good Sister debuted this week, number 7. It is so worthy. That's right. Get the 7. There we go. 7. I can't tell you. I've been on like TikTok and Instagram today talking about this and kind of, leading up to this interview, and people have it and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to read it this weekend." And I'm like, "Cancel your plans. Like, don't do anything
oh,
but read it this weekend." Because I tried at night. I was like, you have to go to sleep. I did it in like 2 nights and I had to go to sleep. And and then I'd wake up early and pick it back. I mean, addicted.
oh,
Addicted. And I feel
thank
like I
you.
know you so well from like Instagram stories and everything. So I can't wait to talk about this, but I'm going to let you give us a brief summary of it.
So it's not a spoiler to say that it is about sisters because it's right here on the cover, The Good Sister. It is actually about twin sisters, Fern and Rose. And if you look closely at the cover, it actually has roses and ferns on there. That's a little
Yep.
secret thing that the publishers have put in there. But Fern and Rose are incredibly close, not just because they are twins, but because they have shared this really difficult childhood together. They have come out of that, they've survived their childhood and they are adults and they're doing well, but they're carrying this secret with them now into adulthood. They're doing well with their lives. Fern is a single librarian. She is possibly on the spectrum, but she hasn't been diagnosed. And she has sensory difficulties that cause her to shy away from bright lights, noises, and kind of to lead a fairly insular life and to lean quite heavily on her sister Rose to lead that life. And then on the other hand, we have Rose, who's the responsible sister with the good job. She's married and she has plans to have a baby as soon as she can. And the book really kicks off when Fern discovers that her sister can't have the baby that she yearns for. And she decides to step in and to take it upon herself to have that baby for her sister, unbeknownst to her sister. And that decision really kicks off Fern's life and opens up her world in ways that hasn't been opened before, and ultimately leads her to new relationship and a new wider life, but also new discoveries about the life she's led thus far and the secret that she's been carrying through her whole life.
I loved how you did her Rose's diary. So it's
Yeah.
points of view. And it was brilliant. Like as the book's going and going, I was like, wow, it's almost like I forgot at some point. Like I was like, oh, that's right, it's her diary. Like because the
Yeah.
voice is so strong of hers.
Good.
I just thought that that was clearly a brilliant move on your part. What did you think of
Thank
like when you
you.
were coming up with that idea? Like so you're giving Fern this very strong first person point of view, and then there's Rose in the background of her diary, like what she's writing.
Yeah. I did that for a couple of reasons. The first one is that just on a very superficial level, I love books that have got letters, emails, the spoken word. I just love having that different medium, in the book where you can, it breaks things up a little bit. And that's just a preference of mine. But more importantly than that, and kind of on a deeper level, this book is about, as I said, twins. You are kind of at risk with twins of them sounding very similar. They have had the shared life experience, they have shared DNA. They're about as close as two people can possibly be. And that is a really interesting thing for me to explore, that two people that are so close and they've shared nature and nurture, but they can view things differently. It is interesting for sure to have one perspective from Fern and another from Rose, and just to live it as they live it, and to lead their lives and see everything through their eyes. But I thought it would be cool to add another dimension to not just the two sides of the truth, but actually with Rose's perspective, we're adding the way that she views things. We're adding, it's been colored by her perspective, by her opinions on things, by what she remembers. And as the book goes on, we really get to start questioning, okay, well, these two perspectives don't always marry up. And is it because someone's lying? Is it because they, remember it differently? Could both things be true? And perspectives is my first love. I love to kind of look at everything from everyone's point of view. And that was something I really enjoyed playing with The Good Sister.
Yeah, like halfway through it, I'm talking to you. I'm like, oh my God, Sally, please.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I always do. I always talk to the author while I'm reading, like, oh my God, please, you're killing me here, please. But I love that. And first of all, I'm not a sister. I don't have a sister.
Me either.
You don't, but I'm like you. I have daughters who are sisters. My daughters are now in their 20s. They're in their late 20s. But watching it as a mom, watching them be sisters, since I didn't have one, it was kind of for me, I grew up with a brother, and I always used to say to my mom, you need to give me a sister. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But watching it now and watching them is so much fun. I have learned over the years, do not take sides. Do not take sides.
Not if you value your life.
No, because I have been there where I've been like, I try to get in, like, come on, like, and I try to get involved, and then they make up, and then they hate me. Okay.
You're making me scared for the future.
I am not kidding. I am not kidding. Seriously, it's like that. So watching these sisters, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have had a sister. Maybe the mother-in-law too. I had a mother-in-law, and I was like, oh my gosh. After I read the mother, you got me with the neighbors. I couldn't go outside without looking at my neighbors. Your books just do that to me.
Well, good. I'm glad, I think.
Yeah, right. You're doing your job, right? I mean, that is the job, to get us to look at everybody differently, right?
Yeah, and a little bit more closely. But I think that the sisters thing, I was exactly the same. I don't have a sister. I have two brothers. I always wanted a sister. I mean, desperately. Now having two daughters, I was so excited to have a frontline kind of ringside view to this relationship. But it's been an eye-opener for sure. As you kind of alluded to, that you picture all of this sunshine and lollipops and, this gorgeous, loving relationship. And I have to say, most days I look at my son and think, gosh, you're the best one. Don't tell them. But it was watching my daughters that inspired this book. And it was a particular moment that they were playing in the backyard. They were 2 and 6 at the time. They were playing quite nicely. And then very quickly, as you alluded to, things can descend, and there was squeals of joy, and then there was squeals of pain and suffering, and someone's been hurt. I remember going to investigate and finding my older daughter Eloise with a ring of teeth marks in her arm, and my little Clementine, who is 2, is looking kind of guilty. There's very obvious what's happened here. I went to reprimand Clem for biting her sister, and Eloise, who's the injured party, jumped in and said, no, don't you yell at my baby sister.
See?
And I was, well, it was kind of the same. Now then they hate me. But then the best part is because I thought, this is weird, because I have brothers and I loved when they got in trouble. It was the great joy of my life when they got there was no way, if they had bit me, there was no way that I would be standing up for them. I'd be, look what happened. And there is Eloise saying, don't yell at my baby sister. But in the next breath, she said, don't worry, I'll get her back later when she's least expecting it.
They're evil. I'm telling you, they're evil. And that is the same age difference my daughters are. So I kind of thought maybe that's a little far, right? Because you're like, okay, enough where the competition may not be as harsh. And my daughters
apparently not
look more different than they do. Like, you wouldn't even know they're sisters. They look completely different. So that was my thinking when they were little, like, they're so different. They're so different. They're not going to have anything to fight about. Like, it's not true.
Idiots. What were we thinking? I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a glimpse of the future. I'm at the stage now where I would not dream in going shopping with either of my daughters. Like, even if I have to take one of them, it's just, it's a suicide mission. There's no way you cannot get out of a shop without them wanting to buy something. And then when you say no, I mean, Clementine's just full out on the floor screaming.
So cute. If you do not follow Sally's IG, like, you are missing out. that day that you read bad reviews, I was laughing, crying. Okay. And as somebody who struggles, because I know we have to, social media is something we have to do. We have no
Yeah.
choice. And you guys as authors, especially through a pandemic, you're not out there, you're not out at book
Mm.
signings. It seemed like it was so easy for you. Was it like you could tell other, younger authors who are watching, like, was it easy because you make it look so easy?
Yeah, I mean, it was easy in the sense, and I say that with so many things about what we do as authors are hard, and Instagram and social media is not going to be for every author, and a lot of authors are shy, introverted people, and that's kind of that's what's attractive about this career. But for
Right.
me, there are two things that make it easy. One is that I don't polish it. It's not aspirational in any sense of the word. I don't do two takes. If my dog's snoring in the background, if the doorbell rings, if my child walks in, you just keep rolling. It's not about having this perfect material. It's just me sharing my life. And that makes it easy because it's authentic. I'm not trying to present myself as something that I'm not. The other piece of it is that I don't even have to create that much content, because especially during lockdown, I would just point the camera at my husband or my daughter
Yes.
and bam, like they're just doing something crazy. And in a way, it was so funny that people found it so funny. I started to think, okay, so this isn't how everyone lives. Everyone doesn't have children. I mean, a lot of people do, like especially in the pandemic, there were kids everywhere. But I suppose in the outset, you need to think about, who am I as a person? Who am I as an author?
Right.
And how does this align with my values? I know some people don't like to share too much personal information on
Right.
the Instagram, and that's absolute respect. You know that about yourself, and that is how you should present yourself. I am a massive oversharer my whole life. I am happy to share. I kind of have nothing to hide. My mum says to me, Sally, maybe you should hide a little bit of stuff, like you don't have to put it all out there. But that's not who I am. I think it starts to become hard if you are trying to be something that you're not. But if you're happy to give everyone the warts and all version, it's easy because you're just sort of filming yourself as you live your life. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be, you are home and you are writing, like maybe it's a good distraction to be like, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Like you said, like you're not editing, editing the heck out of a picture, or so it's not like time consuming, but
it doesn't take much time for me.
It doesn't take that much time, but I do find that I put things out there, then I get yelled at by my kids. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm doing other things. Like, I can't, seriously, 6 of them, just picture it. Okay. Voice every.
God, again, I'm fearful because my kids don't have social media yet. So this is all ahead of me.
I mean, when I got my TikTok, my kids were like, if you dance on TikTok, I'll never talk to you again. I'm like, I'm not going to.
Have you danced?
No. I haven't danced yet because I do like talking to my one son a lot, and he really threatened
You
me.
need to threaten them. You need to threaten them. Say, if you don't toe the line, I'm going to dance. Turn that around.
Yeah. So when I watch yours, like I love seeing. I mean, you make me smile. It's always so lighthearted, and like I said, when you were reading those, I was cracking up because you're like, sorry. Like, oh my
I know. They're so fun. Reading out the 1-star reviews is my favorite thing to do. And I said to my publisher recently, is this okay? Because they always joke I'm really bad at publicizing my. I'm not your natural. Go and buy my book. It's really good. I hate that. That's not how I like. I hope that people will read my books and enjoy them. And I tell people when they're on sale, and people get to know me through my Instagram, and maybe they'll buy them. But the hard sell is not me. Then the 1-star reviews came out, and I thought, oh, they're probably going to say, Sally, this is not how you sell books. But they're okay with it because it's funny. And it's not meant to be anything about, it's certainly not negative about the 1-star reviews. I kind of love them, and I just love to make people laugh and just not take myself too seriously, and not to worry too much about things,
and yet write domestic thrillers. That's what I love. It's like it's not like
I know
lighthearted humor books. Like you're like, okay, back to business. Let's go.
Back to some dark, sinister crime. But you do find that in my books too, that you and someone said to me recently about the Good Sister, it's one of the like funniest, most heartwarming books about a murder I've ever read.
No, I
And I
definitely see
thought,
it coming through on those sisters. Like I definitely see the humor in it. And I love, well, I love Fern too. I really love
yeah,
Fern because she was so awesome.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about before we go, and we had so much
Mm.
fun. But what are you working on? Because now we know. I mean, this one's out there. So you're writing, I
Yeah.
guess, at the moment, right?
I am. Well, I finished the next book. So my next book, which will come out, I guess, this time next year, I haven't got a date yet, but it's called The Younger Wife. That is, again, it's going to go into all of the familial dysfunctional relationships that I
Ah,
love. There will be the sinister undertones and maybe a dead body, but there will also be, the light and the shade that you all and the humor and all the things that you find in my book. That's done. I'm kind of working through last minute edits on that one, and then I'm in the middle of coming up and just sort of finessing a new book idea for the one after that.
that's
No
awesome.
rest for the wicked. I need to be in a project, or my mind just,
Yeah,
it's
and I
best
mean,
that I keep
yeah,
myself busy.
yeah, like a year, pretty much a year in between each one of them. But does
Yeah.
Christian ever, like, does he get to read these like as you're writing them, or does he like read it and look at you like, okay, where?
He thinks I have a crazy mind. He knows that already, and so no, he doesn't get weirded out. But I tend to keep his read for the really last minute before it gets published, because he, as you know, is an accountant by trade, and I always find, I mean, now he's the CEO of the home, as we call him. I always describe him as an accountant because it is the most accurate way of getting a sense of his brain. He's meticulous
Yeah.
and he's very anal about things, and he has this amazing general knowledge. And so he is very he's the most useful to me at that copy, at the stage where he's looking for typos, he's looking for errors that I would never pick up. Like there was a sunset. My characters were walking somewhere and there was a sunset. And he said, well, that wouldn't happen because it's July. And in July, the sun goes down at 6:57 on average, and this was 5 o'clock. And
You're like, good catch.
okay, great. And that's the kind of stuff you'll find. And it's helpful because some readers are accountants and they notice that kind of stuff, and then they email me and say, what was with that sunset? It's that point that he will read them.
I feel like I know him just because of seeing your stories. But my favorite moment was like during pandemic, and we are getting amused by, I mean, what else do we have to get amused by but our social media?
Nothing.
And he
Yeah.
was homeschooling, he was supposedly to be homeschooling, and he was outside and you caught him sunbathing. And you were like, there's the person who's supposed to be homeschooling my children.
Where are the kids?
Where are the
I
kids?
know. I used to just sit. My office is at the front of the house, and I used to just sit in the window. You look out into the garden, and I would just look out there, and it's the middle of homeschool, and I'd see him walking past, mowing the lawn, or then the children would all be running around there in their pajamas, and I'm thinking, I kind of don't want to know, but I also am a little bit intrigued. So yeah, it's much better now. Although Christian's just titled himself, because he was said, well, you're a New York Times best-selling author now, so what does that make me? And I said, it makes you nothing. It's got nothing to do with you. And he said, I think I am a New York Times best-selling husband.
Aww. I'm so happy. I hope you guys go out and celebrate like crazy this weekend. I'm just so thrilled for you. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to read the next one, of course. I gotta wait a while, but I can't wait. I love your books. They're some of my
Thank
favorite.
you.
And I was like, where am I? I was gonna pull it up. You pulled it up. I don't have it. There we
Here it is.
Okay, so this book cover, what I love, because I kept looking at it on my screen, look at in the window. I was like, who is it? Which one is it? Who is it?
I know, it's so creepy, isn't it? I love and again, this kind of really captures the light and the shade. It's got the beautiful flowers, and then it's got that sinister woman. So, that's what my books are like.
I know they are. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. I am so happy that we got to talk today. It just made
Me
my day.
too.
And I can't
Me
wait
too.
to see what it's going to do, because, this was just week one. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Who knows? Well, thank you so much, Sally. Everybody, you can go get it. It's out there. Go on Amazon. If you can get to a local bookstore, go get it at your local bookstore. We can't yet, but maybe someday we'll get back to in the meantime, Amazon is our friend, so you can get it there. But thank you. Have a great weekend, and we will.
My pleasure. Thank you for hosting and for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.